What's up? What's happening? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back. It is a Wednesday. It is March 27th. We have a 5-game slate. It is the eve of the MLB opening day. Very, very exciting MLB opening weekend coming up, starting tomorrow. Pumped for that. Gonna have content 90% sure tomorrow for that as well, along with the NBA, which is right now. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Sal. If you're returning, just a reminder, my name is Sal. What I do here is I cover daily fantasy sports in NFL, NBA, MLB, which is literally tomorrow, like I said. So very, very excited to jump into the MLB, a more tournament-focused sport, less cash, but going to try and see if there's any edges that we can find in cash in tournaments. And we'll talk about it all coming up on Thursday and into the weekend. But for right now, we're focusing on the NBA. If you're here and you like NBA DFS, hit me with a thumbs up. If you're watching this, that should be you. So hit me with a thumbs up. Maybe I can catch you right there. If you're returning, you know how much I appreciate you. So thank you so much. We're approaching 3,500 subscribers. It's a great community that we have going. I just want to prompt everybody, if you're not already, hop into the Discord. We also have a Draftkings league down below. People are already talking in literally all the chats: NBA tiers, NHL, NBA, golf, MLB, Draftkings projections, which I'll plug that as well in a second. But you can come in here totally free. It is up to now 370 people. So people just come in, they chat, ask questions, whatever it might be, try and brainstorm, bounce ideas off each other, try and avoid groupthink as much as possible. So really do like when people kind of call out different things or go against the grain. Like last night, we had somebody all over Christian Wood, who I wrongfully, but in the moment probably not wrongfully, said was not a great play, goes for 50 plus points. I think that we're approaching that time in the NBA season where it is up in the air, and I think that started yesterday, where the best game on the slate quickly became a game where Elfrid Payton, who started hot, didn't see any run in the fourth quarter. Blowout, sure, but they were very timid with him to begin with. Christian Wood goes for 32 minutes after playing 8 the game before. Even when a coach says extended run, I don't imagine a player bumping 24 extra minutes. That wouldn't happen in the beginning or the middle of the season. Now that it's the end of the season, it's a free-for-all in terms of rotations. I think that's what we started to get. I mean, you had the Chicago team at one point when Laurie was sick in the beginning of the third quarter. The players that were on the court for them, the best player was Shaq Harrison. That is very bad. So we're getting to that point where it's going to just get harder to project these lineups and rotations. Thank God the MLB is here. I'm slowly starting to rear back from the NBA during these times of really you're just throwing a dart a lot of the nights, in terms of, especially if you're playing tournaments. In cash, it's going to balance each other out because not everybody's going to be able to predict those rotations like you. But in tournaments, you know that some 150 lineup generators or just some random people entering lineups are going to somehow suck up these, like last night, Christian Wood type plays, but those are going to start to pop up multiple a night to the point where even if you're playing optimally, you're going to lose because, or not at least place in tournaments or place high, because random things like that are going to occur more so than the usual. So it's getting to that point now where I would say just be cautious in tournaments. If you're not playing single entries or cash and you're playing big GPPs, be cautious, because it very much is going to become a guessing game these last few weeks of the regular season. Once the playoffs are back, I'm going to be full back on board, because you know everybody's going to be getting their minutes and you know what the rotations are going to be for the most part. And if you want projections, if you want any of that going into these final couple of weeks and going into the playoffs, I have them over on Patreon. You could also support me over there. There's a donation link down below. There's as well as the projections link. I update them throughout the day multiple times. Not only is it projections, but it's a full stats database as well. I will also have this for the MLB. For the MLB, I might release it tonight/tomorrow. It's a full stats database. It's going to have a target offense sheet. It's also going to have player projections, which aren't as important as for the NBA. The NBA is a very projectable sport on a night in and night out basis, as long as you get people's minutes right. So the MLB, though, I do still think that it matters in terms of just seeing where value lies per usual for all DFS sports. But let's hop into it. Those are just the plugs. Nice little 5-game slate today. Haven't really looked too much into it besides this early research. So, I mean, compared to most people, maybe I have. We'll start with Chicago, and there's not really injury reports on these guys out. I'm pretty much going off of what happened yesterday. Levine, Dunn, and Porter all sat, so I just have them as questionable. I don't have Porter actually in my projections. I have him as out because he's been the guy who's been out the most. This should be Portland. So we already know what this is going to affect. Pretty much look at yesterday. Ryan Arcidiacono, Shaq Harrison, Wayne Selden Jr., Antonio Blankenly, whatever his name is, they all got a bunch of run. They all saw 25 plus minutes. Lauri Markkanen didn't come back in the second half. I don't believe he ever came back after having an illness. Robin Lopez was the only starter who was pretty much healthy, and how much of a starter is he? I'm not too sure. So this team's all up in the air right now. On a 5-game slate, this is where a lot of the value might come from. We saw Archie Diacono go for 28 points yesterday. He got there. When Laurie came out, the production just pretty much had to be taken over from those remaining guys. They all got there for the most part. Wayne Selden, Jack Harrison over 30 points. Blankley had like 26 at a very low cost. Archie Diacono at 3,800 had 28. So they all got there. And I would say a big piece of that was Laurie going out. Laurie, 25 at the half, was going on pace for a 50-burger game. All those other guys on pace to hit 20 points tops. Laurie going out had to spread the production and the scoring around. If Laurie is in, I wouldn't let those numbers that happened yesterday inflate you too much. I still think Shaq Harrison would be the best of the bunch, still priced below 5K. We'll have to see how it all plays out. Lots of things going on there. The matchup now is also not that tough for a guy like Laurie or Robin Lopez because we have Yusuf Nurkic out. And if Kanter's going to start, we know how bad at defense he is. It's pretty much why teams don't want him. He's a bad defender. Indiana, Darren Collison is questionable today. He went from being expected to play, I believe, to questionable, so that's something of a concern and something to watch. You'll know that Tyreek Evans, as he's been getting more minutes than Corey Joe, will get the biggest impact if Collison is out. Collison is in, his price is dipped down below to 5,700, below the 6K range, becomes an interesting play in a fast-paced game against OKC. For the Lakers, lots of news here, so nothing really too much of an importance, but we have KCP getting over 32 minutes a game now. If Reggie Bullock is out, I imagine that stays up and pretty confidently stays up. If Josh Hart is out, I imagine that stays up even more. Mike Muscala, questionable. This guy gets a handful of minutes a game, nothing huge. LeBron, there's nothing really a reason to put him on the injury report, but it's his second night of a back-to-back. He's been playing. Once again, that minutes limit doesn't exist. On the second night of a back-to-back, I'd be a little bit more cautious, but he played 34 minutes last night in a game that ended up blowing out. Or wasn't that close. So I have him as probable for rest, but keep an eye on this. I'd imagine if anybody on this slate is going to take a day off today and get scratched, it will be LeBron, so it will become of no surprise to me. So definitely keep that up. Already not a great matchup for him. Like I said, second night of a back-to-back, so watch out. For Memphis, a lot of key injury news. Mike Conley is questionable. If he's out, you still have DeLon Wright, who is going to have the ball in his hands more, and when that happens, like you saw last game, throwing up a 50-burger, he plays extremely well with Mike Conley off the court. DeLon Wright's price didn't increase that much as it should be. He should be a 63, 6K player at the very least. I believe he's only 5,600. He's way too cheap if Conley's out. Tyler Dorsey's price has come up, but still probably not enough if we do get news that Conley is out. Joakim Noah, I'm just getting an update from Add More Funds. That's NBA Wowie. Their MLB sheet is done. It's going to be interesting to check out, see what they do for MLB. I've never used them for MLB. Joakim Noah is out, so Jonas Valanciunas becomes another great play. His price has bumped up, though. He is now $7,700. Going up against Golden State, which for Joe Val really isn't a matter of matchup for him. He's somewhat matchup proof. We saw him get or really go off against Vucevic and the Magic, so no real problems there. Avery Bradley, I am assuming he continues to be out. Again, that just bumps DeLon Wright and Tyler Dorsey. It'll also give a little bit of a bump to Justin Holiday, who is absolute garbage. He's now in the mid 4K range. I never want to play that for Justin Holiday. I'm hoping we get more or better value, and I think we already have some. Tyler Johnson. Oh, I need some water or something. Tyler Johnson is out today once again. Seems like he might just get shut down for the season, as well as Josh Jackson being questionable. TJ Warren should just be called down for the season. He is also out. So again, you're going to get Devin Booker here as a point guard or a lot of ball handling duties, even with D'Anthony Melton playing 20 to 22 minutes in this game. You're going to get Booker controlling the point. Scored 59 points in the last game. Coach should have left him in to score 60, but he didn't. So, they're going up against Washington, one of the worst teams against the guards defending the position. Washington does a lot of bad things against this position. It's a great matchup for Booker. He's one of my best plays on the slate as of right now early on. He projects very nicely, having projected for north of 50 points, right around 50 points today. At his price point, I think that's really good. It's going to obviously be the biggest impact for Booker that Tyler Johnson is out. We've already seen that. Outside of that, D'Anthony Melton will see a couple minutes. Eli Okabu will also see minutes, saw 27 in the last game, 20 in the game before. I think he gets more run if we get news that Josh Jackson is out, just so they have an extra body that they're actually going to have to throw minutes at. CJ McCollum, these are just reminders that CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic are out. Nurkic is done for a while. You can see my injury reason is bad in all capital letters. Do not watch that injury. I watched it early in the morning, the day after it happened. It was disgusting. Trevor Ariza is questionable. He probably leans more towards doubtful, but I haven't seen a report on him. He finally came back. He came off the injury report, which was really, I didn't see coming. and he played in the game, and then he re-injured his groin, it seems like. So I don't see him playing on the second night of a back-to-back. That's going to affect Troy Brown Jr. Jeff Green started the second half for him, so maybe Jeff Green to an extent. Both players of which have not been productive when Ariza's been out. I'd say Green more so than not. Troy Brown Jr. should see, I believe, around 30 minutes. Actually, I have him in for 28 right now with Ariza out in the projections. He's not a great point per dollar producer, and I mean that's because they're running Bobby Portis, they're running Thomas Bryant together at the 4 and the 5, and then Bradley Beal is just soaking up a ton of minutes and shots. Bradley Beal, though, his minutes between the 39 and 40 range that we were used to for 3 weeks of the season to a month. If you look at his minutes now, they've been dipping down below that. He hasn't hit 39 in I think the past 3 or 4 games, at least ones that have stayed in regulation. So keep an eye on that. I still think he's a fine play today. But that is the injury news. Right now, I want to ask my question of the day. Last night, we had 3 people guess the right answer. I will be reaching out to one of them. I do this little wheel thing. It's simulated online. For the $5 PayPal, you guys picked Atlanta for the highest scoring. So that will be coming very, very soon. Something about college basketball. I just got texts about names are coming out. This could get ugly. I saw stuff happen about that, FBI scandal, whatever it might be. So the question for today, and again, hit me with a thumbs up. It helps a ton. The question for today is what format, and this is not specific, this is kind of specific to me because I want to know, what format would you guys like to see in the videos moving forward? I'm going to be doing NBA and MLB videos, so if I shoot them like this, not live, it takes a little more time to get them up because I'm uploading and editing 2 videos instead of 1, so it's just going to take more time, and I know MLB games are going to start in the afternoon. So what I was thinking was morning MLB streams earlier in the morning. They could be live, and if you don't catch them live, they'll still be up there. And then I could do the normal videos like this. I could do both live streams. The reason that live streams, I don't like to do them as much in the mornings, they don't reach as many people. It's just bad in terms of search engine. It just doesn't reach as many. It's not a nice video format for it. So what format would you guys like to see? I want to get 2 videos out a day. Making 2 live streams makes the most sense. Logistically, a couple of things don't work, just reaching more people. But if I get 2 videos out a day, it might kind of counteract that. So what would you like to see? Live streams in the morning, so they're both out earlier. One being a live stream in the morning. I want to know what everybody wants to see. I figure you guys are NBA crowd, so you're going to have more opinions on that. But I want to know just what format works best for everybody. And also on that note, tonight and tomorrow, I will be having a live stream for the NBA before lock, about an hour before lock, 6 p.m. So check that out. So that's the question. Hit me with a like button, comment it down below. If you're still here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's jump into the target offense sheet. So a little bit nicer than yesterday, I would say, just in terms of having half the teams on the slate. So we got 3 teams on a back-to-back, Chicago, Washington, and LA. I believe that's it, LA Lakers, that is. So what we're looking at here is just a bunch of different stats. If you've been watching along, you have pace, you have Vegas, opponent ratings for defense and true shooting percentage, which is definitely important, and then defense versus position over the last 30 days in terms of Draftkings points allowed. The best pace game on the slate is this Lakers game. They always are in a pace-up mode. You're going to get a pace-up mode here by almost 3 possessions a game for Utah, who's around the average pace for the league. So that's nice. The spread is scary, 12.5-point spread. Not sure if LeBron will play. At this point in the season, though, is this game in Utah? That's definitely big. The game is in Utah, so usually that the starters will get extended run even if it is a blowout in these games. Looking at this game, 216.5 total, even though it's the highest pace, it doesn't add up. The total wasn't out the last time that I checked. So this is a projected total from Odd Sharks, which seems extremely low based on the pace being at only 216.5. It's still not out, so I would monitor that. It just seems extremely low, 216.5 for a pace of 106. But it can just be an efficiency thing. It can be an inefficient thing for the Lakers side of the ball. So not attractive there. Utah has the highest implied team total at 114.5, so I do like that. If we want to just look at these defense versus positions relative to this slate, Ricky Rubio's in a great spot, best matchup in terms of the point guard position. His price is still low. Really, every single person on Utah is going to be in a favorable spot because it's a huge pace up for them. And LA is not by any means a good defense. Rudy Gobert continues to be underpriced. One of my favorite plays on the slate against the Lakers. Love Gobert. JaVale McGee's been balling, and this is somewhat of a concern, but I think his minutes stay stable here. A much tougher matchup for McGee today. With his price coming up, I'm fully prepared to not be playing McGee tonight if I play at all. I like Gobert in terms of centers in this game. I like Ricky Rubio. And you can experiment around with other spots as well. I'm probably not going to get to much of Joe Ingles today. I'm probably not going to get too much of Donovan Mitchell, although Mitchell's in a great spot. I just think there's other options in the price range. So for me, on the Utah side, it's mainly Ricky Rubio, it's Gobert, and it's Gobert then Rubio if I have to kind of rank them. And they should see extended run even in a game that's kind of blowing out. So Lakers and Utah. This side of the ball, there's not much that I want. If LeBron's out, Kuzma gets a little bit of a bump for me. Rondo seems to be playing a steady 32 minutes, but it's nothing attractive here. This is a tough matchup for every single player on this Lakers team. JaVale McGee, in terms of Utah giving up a lot of fantasy points to players, they're very good in real life, but they do give up fantasy points to centers. Gets a little bit of an interest for me, but I think there's much better options on the slate that we will get to that makes rostering McGee, who's only center eligible, tough when there's other centers who are only center eligible that I do want to get into my lineups. Let's start back up at the top now. OKC and Indiana. The game's 103.59 pace. I do like that. Once again, a 216.5 total. Lots of 216s on this slate. So nothing impressive here that stands out. Look, it's a tough matchup for everybody on this team. It is a huge pace up spot for Indiana. Look, if you want Russell Westbrook, he's 10-5. He's very cheap. Go ahead and get him into your lineups if you can get that with the value that's out there and feel comfortable. But there's not much more that I want here. Not really too interested in Paul George today at his price point. It's Westbrook or nothing from me. On the Indy side of the ball, and not looking at much. If Darren Collison is in at 5,700 in a big pace-up spot for a point guard, he draws some attention to me, but I'm not super interested in anything else on this entire team. Sabonis and Miles Turner. Turner's minutes have been coming down. Sabonis have been staying steady in the low 20s. Sabonis has been very productive. I believe I have him projected for just under, if not right at 30 points today. But I believe his price is in the 6K range. So for on this slate, that's not going to get it done. I'm mainly avoiding this OKC Indy game, a game that actually matters for the playoffs in terms of seeding. So I would imagine everybody gets full runs here. I would imagine Westbrook, if not, gets a bump to closer to 37 minutes instead of his 35, 36. So that's why I get a little bit of interest in Westbrook if we can get there. Obviously, if you really like Paul George, he's a great play on any given slate. It just depends on lineup construction. Memphis and Golden State. Golden State's all healthy. I have no interest in them. It's as simple as that for me. On most nights, it's the slowest paced game. It is a big pace down spot for Golden State. Memphis plays at the slowest pace, one of the two slowest paces in the entire league. The spread's not favorable. There's nobody that really stands out. Steph and KD are pretty much identical to me in projections almost every single day when it's medium. DeMarcus Cousins, Boogie's Cousins minutes have been coming down closer to the mid-20s instead of the high 20s, low 30s like we saw for a couple of weeks there. So nothing on Golden State stands out. Memphis, Joe Val at $7,700. I'm fine if you go right back to that. Played 32 minutes in the last game with no Noah. I have him projected today for 33. Wouldn't be shocked if he plays more, especially if this game does stay close. If Mike Conley is in, Mike Conley draws some interest from me, but I'd probably go elsewhere. If Conley is out, I do have interest in DeLon Wright, still only $5,600 on a 5-game slate. You can put him into the shooting guard spot. Tyler Dorsey would also draw some slight interest for me at his price point of $4,500. It is built-in value then on the slate. Chicago and Portland. So this one's the interesting one. The Chicago side, I have no idea what to tell you right now. There's 4 guys, and they're 4 best players by a wide margin, who at least of right now are questionable today. Otto Porter I don't expect to play, but maybe something will have changed. Chris Dunn was the closest to playing, so I would expect him to play. No idea where Zach LaVine lies. Lauri Markkanen got sick, so I would imagine maybe he's over it within 24 hours. But again, I can't assume much. The only thing I'm assuming is Otto Porter is out in the projections. If all of these guys are healthy, there's not much that I want. Zach LaVine would be the only one that I have a slight interest in. It eliminates all the value from the Chicago side. Even if that value is somewhat dusty, there's not much value on this slate as of right now. Although I do think all of the value on this slate lies in this specific game, Chicago and Portland. So it's a matter of what happens. If all these guys are out like yesterday, Shaq Harrison is my play that I would go to. Ryan Arcidiacono is going to see 33 to 34, 35 minutes. He's not a very good player. He would have a tough matchup against Lillard, but he's there in terms of the value on this slate. Wayne Selden, all these guys. So pretty much what happened yesterday if all these guys are out. If all of them are in, and I imagine Dunn's going to be in today, and this is saying that Porter's still out, I think Shaq Harrison at 4,900 is the best play on the Chicago side. If Lauri's in and LaVine and Dunn and Porter are out, then Lauri, I think, is a nice play. Portland side. So boy, oh boy, no Nurkic. Believe it or not, it's a smaller sample, but Lillard's points per minute go down. Very small sample, so I can't really even accredit it. But they go down with no Nurkic, and it makes sense. I mean, pick and roll offense, just a guy to get more assists through. somebody else to take the attention off the defense. Cantor comes in. He's not a terrible offensive player. Cantor is not a huge drop-off from Nurkic on offense, believe it or not. But on defense, it's not even close. So Cantor I have right now for 28 minutes. I have Zach Collins for 20. I'm really not sure where to go. Cantor's been the primary backup since he's gotten there, and he's played extremely well. So I imagine that they give him the run first. But if you were to tell me that Cantor and Collins split 24 minutes apiece, and Collins is $1,000 less, I would not be shocked at all. So going to Collins, if you want leverage off the chalk, it's not Rip City today in Portland. It's literally Chalk City. Take that sound bit. That was pretty damn good. But it's literally Chalk City that's going to be on Cantor. He's only $5,000. DraftKings did not price him up to where he should be today if he plays 28 minutes. 5,000 is not terrible, but he should be closer to 6K plus for starting center on a 5-game slate. Going to be playing at least 25 minutes, I would imagine, on most nights. So Cantor, I think he's a fine play. I think if all these guys are out, he's just going to be going up against nobodies, and it's completely fine for him. Look, somebody's going to have to get these minutes. Somebody's going to have to be productive. He is one of their most productive players now outside of Damian Lillard since McCollum and since Nurkic are out of that lineup. Damian Lillard himself is not grading out too great for me right now based on his price point being over 10K again. I have him projected for only 50 points. If I bump his rates to a little bit up, I can get him closer to 53, 54, which is probably where he should lie as the only real offensive weapon on this team. But I am a little bit worried about who else he has on his team. So outside of that, let's see what else we have for the Portland side of the ball. Yeah, that's it. Seth Curry becomes very interesting again as built-in value on the slate. You can go to Mo Harkless. I prefer Seth Curry. I think Curry, as it stands right now, maybe outside of Cantor, as long as the cheap end value is my best value on the slate, not having any Mike Conley news and aside from Cantor. And then we have Washington and we have Phoenix. So this game right here is the highest total, 231.5, a nice pace of 104.29, and it's supposed to be competitive with a 2-point spread. These teams are playing for nothing. So this is where it gets scary late in the year. These teams are playing for nothing. Washington's team is a bunch of dust bunnies. If we get Josh Jackson out, it becomes even worse, and it's something that we've been dealing with, where Jimmer Fredette's going to see 13 minutes in an NBA game, and Eli Okabu is going to see 20-plus minutes, 27 in the last one. It just becomes very ugly. Keep in mind, Rashawn Holmes got thrown out at the early second half in the last game, so that could affect some of these minutes that players were getting. So it's scary. Phoenix side of the ball, look, Devin Booker has a great matchup. He's still too cheap based on how many minutes he's going to play, the matchup that he has, and how he has to be the whole production for his team. McCall Bridges is a terrible point-per-minute guy. DeAndre Ayton is fine at the center position, but he's nothing outstanding compared to Booker's production. So a guy that I normally don't play, he's going out there and he's just trying to score points. 59 in the last game, even in a blowout. Give me all the Devin Booker I could have today. I don't even really care in terms of what the matchup would be, but the matchup is also juicy and great. DeAndre Ayton against Washington is also a great matchup, but if they're going to be starting two bigs, it makes it a little bit worse for me, at least in my opinion, if it's going to be Portis and Bryant. I think they might have gotten away from that last night. I can't remember. I saw a tweet from Shit My Money. I don't know if they went away from it. Washington side of the ball, you attack Phoenix pretty much anywhere. They're terrible on defense against the guards, against the bigs. So I like everybody on the Washington team for the most part. Thomas Satoransky's price doesn't change. He's consistently scoring in the low to mid 30s. At 6,100, I think that's fine, especially for cash. Bradley Beal is now $9,000. Minutes are slowly coming down, but they're still there, and it's still a great matchup in terms of pace total and the actual defensive matchup. Bobby Portis at the 4, Brian at the 5, whoever starts where, have to see the starting lineup. I like all of them. Troy Brown Jr. becomes some kind of value if we do get news that Trevor Ariza is out, not dying to get there. I'd rather have a guy like Seth Curry as my value play, even go up to Tyler Dorsey if Conley is out for sure. So I really like everything on Washington. I like this game as a whole. A 5-game slate, it makes more sense to game stack. Highest total, nice pace, lots of good matchups in terms of both of these teams not playing defense. I think this would be the game that you target pretty clearly over the rest. So let's get into our early interests here. So early interest, I've covered all of them, I would say, for the most part. Maybe there's a couple, and look, the value's not great yet. And I guess I missed one value guy in the Lakers, which would be Lance Stevenson, who is $500 cheaper, the cheapest, best value option, I would say, by a decent margin. Seth Curry right there as well. So Enes Kanter, the first guy up, probably the most obvious, going to be the most chalky. If he's going to come in and play 28 minutes as I have him at right now, he's in a great spot. It's as simple as that for a center. And the matchup is definitely nothing that he can't handle in Chicago with all these guys down. Joe Val, Tyler Dorsey, DeLon Wright, all get huge bumps for me if Conley's out. Still have interest in Joval if Conley is not out. Joval might go a little bit under-owned here. It's either going to be Joval or Gobert that goes under-owned. Kanter's going to garner a ton of ownership, and you can only play 2 centers at that point. So will Joval or will Gobert garner more ownership? Right now, I would think it would be Gobert, but not a lot of people usually get ownership on him. They just don't like him. They don't know about him, whatever it might be. Joval's been the sexier name as of late, so I'll happily go to Gobert. Tyler Dorsey and DeLon Wright, again, if Mike Conley's out. Devin Booker, I already said how much I like him. He's too cheap. I prefer him over, even for $200 more, over Bradley Beal here. Bobby Portis Jr., Thomas Bryant, Bradley Beal, the other guys in this game on the Phoenix side that I do like. In terms of Phoenix, outside of Devin Booker, there's not much that I really want to even touch in this game. You can go really cheap to an Eli Okabu. You can go to Rashawn Holmes and hope that he plays 20 minutes and gets you 25 points. I'm fine with that. 34 minutes out of McCall Bridges is okay, but I think especially when you have DeLon Wright in the same price range, I'd rather go there. And I'd rather go down $1,000 and go to Seth Curry, just based on the point per minute production. Some interest in a guy like, and he should be really low owned due to all these centers, DeAndre Ayton. Think he becomes a nice tournament play, but I just don't like the stability in terms of cash, and really overall don't like the stability you get from Ayton. It's not there. It's a lack of stability. Troy Brown Jr., decent value, at least early on at 4,800, but nothing that I'd prioritize, and I think there's better options in the range, just important to touch on. Rudy Gobert might be my favorite play on the slate. Have him projected for just under 50 points today, I believe right around 48. 8,200, he continues to be underpriced. Thomas Satoransky, another play from that game for Washington in Phoenix that I think is very good. Price doesn't change, continues to be consistent, continues to play big minutes in the 30s, mid-30s. Ricky Rubio, 5,600 minutes are continuing to come up. Dream matchup today against the Lakers. I just like it. It's that simple. Between him and DeLon Wright, if Mike Conley's in, Rubio becomes a very nice pivot off of DeLon Wright, although I'd rather have DeLon Wright. Shaq Harrison, 4,900. He'll see the minutes today. I expect Porter to be out. We'll have to get that confirmed. And then if we get Levine out as well, Harrison gets a bigger bump. If Levine's in, I'd probably move away from Harrison, who gets a lot less point per minute production with Levine on the court, as he should. Mo Harkless and Seth Curry, I prefer Curry from this same team. Just more of an active scorer. Should also see a more stable minutes. And Lance Stevenson, seen 25 minutes in back-to-back games. If Josh Hart remains out, if Reggie Bullock remains out, I think Stevenson sees another 25. And they're not playing for anything out there. It's a tough matchup, but at $3,700, not a lot of that really matters. So that is his 5-game slate. The MLB is tomorrow. I will leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. Hit a like button. Let me know if you watched the whole video. I appreciate those things. That social capital, whatever it might be, helps me raise up SEO rankings. So thank you guys so much. My name's Sal. Best of luck tonight. Peace.